Hi, and welcome to the Modern Persian Food Podcast. We are food bloggers,
Beata or Avian,
and Bita Nazim Kelly, and we're here to share with you the rich flavors and fresh ingredients of Persian cooking and how to incorporate them into today's modern lifestyles.
We're excited to introduce you to the flavors, tastes, and techniques we use, and also our own cultural stories and perspectives growing up in the U.S. in a Persian family. Thank you for joining us.
Welcome to episode number 55. Today, we're going to be talking about a Persian ingredient that ranges from being raw to cooked and within foods. We're going to be talking about Persian nuts. So there's a big variety of different types of nuts that are eaten in Persian cuisine, either cooked into our foods or we eat them plain, raw, or salted and roasted. And yeah, there's a lot of different types. So we thought that we'd dedicate today's episode to it. I'm here with the lovely Bita June. Hi, Bita June.
Hey, Bita June. How are you doing today?
I'm great, thanks. Let's talk about nuts. What are some things that come to mind when you think about Persian nuts?
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is pistachios. I think that might be the most prevalent nut in Persian culture and cuisine. Whenever somebody is coming back from Iran and they want to bring back a sorati or a souvenir, and they ask me, what do you want from back there? I always say Persian pistachios. Mm-hmm. What's special about Persian pistachios or pesteh? Well, first of all, they're huge.
Yeah, they're big.
They're big. So, as you know, a pistachio has the outer shells that you crack open. There's like two. Then you crack it open and you eat the nut meat. Mm-hmm. So the nut meat in a Persian pistachio is large and it's delicious. And when it's fresh, it's kind of green. And I love it when it's marinated in saffron.
Ooh.
Or in a citrusy, like roasted and marinated in a citrus way. I love the roasted and marinated pistachios. I love them as a snack. You often see them out on a table or as part of the spread all the time. Yeah. Do you like pistachios?
Yeah, I love pistachios. And, and you're saying when they're marinated, so they're like marinated and seasoned before they're roasted. So then that flavor is on like the dried pistachio and it's super salty. And sometimes with the lime, it has like a fun kick to it. There's so many different kinds of pistachios. When you get your hands on some really good Persian pistachios, they are like bursting out. And I really love the beautiful green color of pistachios. It's such a bright, vibrant color, and it's fun when you add them to recipes. So pistachios, that great green color ingredient, we loved garnishing it as well. So you mentioned like serving it as a bowl for your guests on your table, but I love cooking with it. I love, we talked about Persian ice cream. I love having fresh green pistachios on top of ice cream or rolled around like Persian ice cream sandwiches. Also in some of the jeweled rices or the Shirin polo, there's slivered pistachios. And I love using that also in my tahcheen, the beautiful baked rice dish, which is inverted and has like a nice, beautiful tahdig around it. I love garnishing that with the different nuts like pistachios and almonds, and also with like orange peel and zireshk if I have it, or barberries. The bright green color, it visually makes it look so beautiful, and then it has like a crunch to it to add to the dish too, so that makes it a little bit more fun to eat.
Yeah, they're delicious, and they do add that pop of color. And you can actually purchase them from some Middle Eastern and Persian markets, have them already deshelled and chopped, and they somehow just have all the little chopped pieces slivered in the bright green color. And I also use it on top of tahcheen. I use it for many things as a garnish. I like it on my jeweled rice, my Shirin polo, and I actually sometimes even put it in my Adas polo, which is the lentil rice.
Oh.
Yeah, I think that you can use it as a garnish in almost anything. And another thing pistachios are often found in is the Persian Trail mix or nut mix that's often on the table in Persian families is Ajeel.
Ajeel, that beautiful trail mix. Yep.
Yeah.
We have it for Shab Yalda and a bunch of other occasions. And really any time in a Persian household, there's usually like a bowl of Ajeel or, the dried fruits and nuts. That's a great point.
Totally. Yeah. And then I think of walnuts and almonds. So I don't know in which order, but walnuts, gerdu,
gerdu
is also in many things. Persian June that we talk about a lot has ground walnuts. There's cookies with walnuts.
That's right.
My dad used to crack them open, so whole from the shell. We had the old-fashioned nutcracker, and I have memories of him, cracking it open and carefully taking it out. And he was a physician, so he was like doing surgery. He had the whole like nut cracking set. There was like a pointy instrument to like dig out the parts of the walnut. Kind of looks like a brain.
It really does. And to that point, it's actually really good brain food.
Yeah.
You can speak more to it, but they're really nutritionally dense. They're good for your brain and good fats.
A lot of pack for your punch. It's probably the number one snack food that I would recommend. And all the nuts, almonds, because almonds have the lowest caloric density and fat or oil in them. I personally eat almonds every single day. And in my house, I currently have every form of almond. I have sliced almonds, I have slivered almonds, I have toasted almonds, I have whole raw almonds, and then I also have roasted citrus Persian almonds.
Oh, yeah.
And many, many things have almonds, badum, and Farsi in them in Persian cuisine.
Yeah.
We have many cookies. There's an almond cookie, almond paste, which there's a sweet made with almond paste, basically like a marzipan little sweet candy that's shaped in an ovally with pointy on sort of one end, almost like a pear shape. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, they call it toot.
Yes, because it also looks like toot, which is a dried mulberry. I mean, there are almond cakes. I use almond quite a bit. I have almond flour that I use for baking. And I do use it as a garnish as well. And I just mix it right into many of my mixed rices, my lentil rice, you name it. I'm going to put almonds on it.
That's great. You make a really beautiful dream cake, right? Is that what you call it? The almond cake?
Oh, I have a dream cake. Yeah.
I always love the pictures that you have of your dream cake. That looks really pretty. And that's, made with almond flour and gluten-free for anyone who's into that.
It's delicious. And of course, you can buy marzipan. I actually have some almond paste right now. And I was going to play with trying to shape and make little Persian sweets with that.
Yeah. Walnuts and almonds, they're great like that too. But also you can actually have them raw, plain. Occasions that we see that a lot of times at breakfast, like a breakfast spread. It's nice to have some walnuts and almonds there, or on the side of like sabzi khordan, which is our little platter of fresh herbs that you serve at meals.
With herbs. Usually it has feta cheese, the fresh herbs, maybe some radish and green onions, and then nuts. And I think you've brought it up in previous episodes. The whole nuts can sometimes be softened by soaking them.
Yeah, I love that. It adds so much to the texture of the nut itself. Is then basically you just soak it overnight, definitely for a few hours, and then pretty much peel the skin off of the individual nut. I'm not talking about the shell. I'm talking about the skin on each one of like the little almonds or the little walnuts. It's just like a delicate little crunch, and I love adding salt to it. And that's fun. Like I said, it's like for breakfast or on the side of your sabzi khordan platter.
Let's say you wanted to soak your almonds to put, out on your sabzi khordan. How long would you soak it in water in order for the peel to come right off?
Usually overnight is like a good gauge. If you need to do it less than that, you can. But typically, if you can do it overnight, that's going to be the best for the skin to really like come off and for the whole texture of the nut to convert, essentially. So if you take it out a little too soon, and if you take a bite out of it, you can tell that the almond hasn't fully softened. But yeah, you typically overnight.
And you can put it in the fridge if you want to be extra, but the water gets kind of cloudy.
Yeah, so rinse out the water like once or twice throughout the process.
And do you do it with walnuts as well?
Yeah, I love it with walnuts and I love it with almonds. Walnuts is really fun because you just can really like peel it off, and like it's such a delicate flavor. When you harvest a walnut, it has a really dark outer skin. And then once that peels off, then you can crack it open. That walnut that's inside of that's within that shell that has been covered by the skin of the walnut plant is super, super delicate. So when you soak a walnut, you kind of get that same characteristics of the walnuts. And that's why sometimes people soak them, is because it resembles like young raw walnuts or almonds.
Yeah. Speaking of young nuts, there's a word in Farsi that I love to say, and excuse me for my accent, but I love saying chagalabadum.
Oh, chagalabadum.
Chagalabadum.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of like very young almond that still has the green shell, and it's almost like a delicacy, at least in our family. Everyone gets so excited because it's not in season always.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that?
I remember the first time I was introduced to chocolate badem, I was probably like 12 or 13 when I was visiting Iran one summer with my mom. And they sell them in the street, but like street vendors. They have these big fat trays, 3 feet wide. The chocolate badem, there's the dark, hard green almond. They have like a big mound of it on this big tray. Next to the tray on the little table, they have like a scale, like an old school scale.
Oh.
You get it and they weigh it out and they put it like in a little paper container and they can sprinkle a little salt on it if you want. And then you go and you just like walk around eating this chocolate badem and you eat the whole thing.
You eat the whole thing.
Yeah, and it is super special. It's really unique. And if I'm in a Persian market in the right season and they happen to have it, or some very specialty gourmet shops or very local type of place, well, I see like the actual raw chocolate badem that you get and you just pop and it is so cool. It's like such a great experience. And so I always have fond memories of chocolate badem from Iran. And if I ever get my hands on some here, it's really special for me.
Yeah, talk about fiber. Really good fiber for you. And they actually have it in the Persian markets near where I live. I have only been back to Iran once as a child. So for me, the memories are of people bringing them over here, bringing them over from markets here in the US and California. And they bring them over in a brown paper bag and tuck in a bowl and cover them with salt and just have at it.
Yeah.
The taste for someone that's not accustomed to it is different.
Yeah.
How would you describe the taste?
It has a little bit of like a sour tartness to it, but very fresh.
Oh, yeah. Definitely a sour tartness to it, right?
Yeah.
And, it doesn't stop with pistachios, walnuts, and almonds. There are just about every type of nut. I mean, hazelnut.
Yep. Fat d'or.
Both in the shell and without the shell, often in these nut mixes. And seeds. So we're talking about nuts, but also seeds.
Yeah, seeds. We actually have an episode on tukhmeh that we did, one of our micro episodes over the summer that we talk more about tukhmeh. But tukhmeh is basically seeds like in the shell that are typically roasted, salted and roasted. And there's like a tukhmeh culture. Like you get a plate full of them and you snap them and the more you do it, the better you get at getting them out of the shell in one piece. And sometimes the mixed bowls of Ajeel will sometimes have tukhmeh in there as well. So you can have like your pumpkin seeds and some cashews and some pistachios and some toots mulberry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So nuts definitely play a big role in Persian cuisine. There's a lot of foods, like we mentioned, that it's in, a lot of pastries and desserts, and also just like a really great garnish on top of some of the other foods that we've made. Add a little Persian flair.
Absolutely. I would say that fruit and nuts are the most common offered snack or appetizer in both the raw and dried forms. So a lot of the beautiful rices have dried fruit and nuts. We talk about fruit a lot, and then we definitely wanted to give respect and attention to nuts in Persian cuisine and culture.
Yeah, great. Thank you. So Bita, do we have an Ask the Beats today?
We do. It actually comes from me. So I was recently interviewed and I had about 10 questions, and the last one kind of got me and stayed with me. I thought it was a good question, so I thought I would ask you. So Bita.
Okay, go for it. Unscripted.
If you could have tea with anyone in the world, who would you have tea with and why?
That is a big one. Yeah. Who would I have tea with? I'd have to say, if I could have tea with anyone, I would have tea with my dad.
Oh, you just gave me goosebumps.
Yeah.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, my dad passed away almost 4 years ago. Actually, in a few months, it'll be 4 years. And so I think if I could have tea with anybody, I would pick him. I really enjoyed everything my dad had to say. My dad is a retired judge from Iran. And then here he was a business owner and really smart and well respected in our family and in our community. And there's, I think, a lot of things that I would just want his guidance on and have his arm come around me and give me a little bit of a hug and just tell me some of his wise words of accepting people for who they are and always doing good and being the best that I can be. So That was a good question. So I would say my dad.
Oh, good answer. Very heartwarming. Thank you, Bita June.
Thank you, Bita June. I had a lot of fun talking about nuts with you, and especially as the weather's kind of getting a little cooler, harvesting all those nuts and storing up all our supplies for the winter to come.
Yes, totally. One of my favorite snacks and ingredients.
Great. Thank you. Till next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye. You've been listening to the Modern Persian Food Podcast with Beata and Bita. Thanks for spending time with us. If you've enjoyed what you heard today, consider telling a friend or giving us a good rating. You can subscribe to our show for free on your favorite podcasting app or find us online at modernpersianfood.com or on Instagram for the recipes and information we talked about today. We'd love to hear your thoughts and see you next time.